Hi everyone. I just want to say a few words about last night's Eurovision Song Contest. So my British viewers, you will know what this is. Some of my international viewers who may not be familiar with it. Basically, it's been described as the world's largest music competition, and it's held predominantly by European countries, but there are some other countries, Australia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Israel, which are not in Europe, that also take part. Um, and the basic format of this competition, just to give you a little bit of background to those who don't know, is that every year a number of countries compete with music acts, and the winner has therefore the right to host the contest the following year. This is a well-established tradition in Europe. It goes back to, I believe it was 1956, and there's four countries that always funds the contest, and therefore they're always entering no matter how well they do or don't do in the preliminary stages. That's Germany, France, the UK, and Spain, if I've got that correct. Um, Now, the Eurovision, at least in this country, is seen as a little bit of a joke because it's seen as very kitsch, very a bit cheesy, a bit silly, and not many people take it very seriously. However, there nevertheless, despite British complaining, there nevertheless remains a lot of interest in this competition. We have actually done better than people think we have. It's just that in recent years we haven't, until last night. So I believe the UK has won four times. The last time we actually won the competition was back in 1997 with Love Shine a Light by Katrina and the Waves. And that meant that we then hosted the competition in Birmingham in 1998. So last night's competition was held in Turin, Italy, because Italy won last year. So that's the basic idea. And there's two ways that this is voted on. Firstly, there's a jury vote, which I understand is professionals. I don't quite get the mechanics of it. It's a little bit complex. But then there's a public vote. Now, the big thing about the Eurovision Song Contest is you cannot vote for your own country. And this makes sense because if people vote for their own countries, then countries with a bigger population would always win because of, that patriotic drive, they would just always win. However, it's long been sort of seen somewhat flippantly that there's a lot of political voting going on. People vote for their neighbours. Um, but basically, at least in this country, the Eurovision is seen it's seen as a bit of escapism. It's a bit silly. There's always some very silly acts. There's always some bizarre acts. Over the years, there have been some truly bizarre things have gone on. One of our silly acts was Scooch around 10 years ago, which was kind of a cabin crew thing. But last night, Sam Ryder got us into second place, which is incredible. Second place with his song Spaceman. Now, I watched the video, and I have to admit, I hadn't really been hyped up about Eurovision until I remembered it was sort of mid-May, and I sort of looked at some of the information about our entry yesterday. Usually, there's not that much public interest in the entry because they're not usually very well-known musicians. And for a country that's produced some of the top music acts in the world, that's somewhat surprising. Um, Incidentally, ABBA was born with Eurovision and Waterloo in 1974. Although, interestingly, the UK that year didn't give any points to Sweden. But so the way it works is you have a jury vote and you have a public vote. So you can basically phone up the number and give a vote to whoever you think is best, and then that's accumulated. I'm not sure how it's done because it must be millions and millions of text votes across Europe. Anyway, Sam Ryder's piece, it had echoes of Elton John and Queen. It was very feel good. It was good video. I think like a lot of songs, you really need to see the video in conjunction with the song. It feel good. My mum mentioned actually, I was talking to her about it earlier. He sounded like one of the Bee Gees, which I hadn't realized until she said that. Very high pitched voice, but it's a fun, feel good video. It's just basically it's this ordinary guy who's kind of elevated to stardom. That's the idea. And there's all these people just looking up in the sky. There's a two police officers arresting someone. There's a guy that's fallen off his bike. There's a young woman in a traffic jam. Just regular sort of things, and they're just looking up at this. Um, I think the guy looks like a cross between Kurt Cobain and Jesus. I don't mean that pejoratively. I mean he's quite distinctive, long hair. He's kind of a grungy look about him. But I think he's a labourer from Essex, and he seems like a decent bloke. He seems like a likable guy, and for him to bring us into second place, it's just it's incredible. Um, and yeah, it feels good. Now, there is certainly a degree of political voting in the Eurovision. People vote for their neighbours. And who won last night? Ukraine. Well, that was to be expected. Their act was quite good. I don't think it was the best. It was quite good. I'm just going to read for the BBC article here. Ukraine's Kalush Orchestra have won the Eurovision Song Contest in a symbolic show of public support following the country's invasion by Russia. The rock folk band, who were given special permission to leave the war-torn country, soared to first place with 631 points, and they were well ahead. They ended their performance in Turin with a plea: "Please help Ukraine, help Mariupol, help Azovstal right now." Sam Ryder came second for the UK, the country's best result since 1998. A former construction worker, he had been keenly favoured ahead of the competition thanks to his soaring power ballad "Spaceman," which evoked the classic British pop of Queen and Elton John. It topped the jury vote, amazing 283 points, but was piped at the post when public votes were added to the total. The UK came fifth with the public, with Ukraine receiving the most points. But overall, we came second. Spain and Sweden also done very well. Um, but we really can't complain about that. To get in second place from basically years of getting to the at the bottom, literally. But I don't begrudge Ukraine anything. I don't think they were the best, but I do think it's a huge morale boost for that country, and I think most Europeans were rooting for them. Apparently, Russia tried to hack proceedings last night and failed. Um, but really, this is something that's, even if it is a bit kitsch, it is a bit cheesy. For Ukraine to get some good news, to win at a major international competition like this, I think that's really good. The UK gave our 12 points to Ukraine. Ukraine reciprocated and gave us 12. But I was watching the proceedings, and to see this guy get, 12 points, 10 points, 12, 12, it was just, um, I honestly thought he'd get into the top 10, maybe the top five, but to get in second place at the Eurovision, incredible. Of course, that puts more pressure on yet next year's entrant. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. I mean, obviously, there'll be security issues if it's held in Ukraine, but I am very pleased for the Ukrainians, and I think that it will be a morale boost. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you vote for anyone. I believe my friend was trying to vote for Italy, and he kept mistakenly voting for Sweden, which annoyed him. I think I quite liked Lithuania's entry. I thought she was good. Um, I'm not so into it that I memorize all the names and the songs, but I liked her act. What else? I thought the Serbian one was somewhat bizarre. It was apparently some sort of protest against the healthcare system there, but the woman sort of looked like she was washing her hands, and the Eurovision's always quite quirky. It's definitely escapism, and there's always a joke. We have a tradition in this country of kind of flippant commentary. First of all, by Terry Wogan, now by Graham Norton, and you always get presenters. They'll read the results of the country who kind of lap up their little moment of fame. It's the whole thing is a bit of escapism. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I think it's good natured. Rarely is there bad intentions there. Sometimes you get overt politics, which is unfortunate, but you do occasionally get protests. A few years ago, the British singer, a guy tried to rush her microphone. He tried to grab her microphone, not so much against her, but a protest against the BBC. So there's been examples of that. Um, but I'm pleased for Sam Ryder. I think he's done us proud, and it's. I think he's got a glowing career ahead. Best wishes to him. So let me know your thoughts on the Eurovision 2022.